How do you build credibility? How do you become seen as credible in the eyes of other people? Credibility is hugely important in your life every single day, and it's going to only get more important as every single day goes on. People better see you as credible. They better know you're credible, or else your future earnings, your future relationships, all are going in the wrong direction. What makes up credibility? What makes the credible person? Let's talk about that first. And then how do we build our credibility? Let's talk about that second. There's really 6 pieces to credibility. The first thing is competence. What is competence? Competence means there's a problem over there. You're going to go from here to there, and you are now going to begin solving the problem. So if you've ever solved one of those codes, crypto quips in the daily newspaper, and you're given basically no information, but you got to figure out what the code is. So you're given the code, you're given the newspaper, you start working on it, and there is no question as to whether or not you're going to finish it quickly. It's going to get done. It's going to get done with effectiveness. It's going to get done perfectly eventually, and you don't care what mistakes you make along the way, so long as the project is going to get done. That's competence. That means A starts here, B is over here. You're going to get from here to here. It's going to get done. There's nobody who can do it more efficiently, more effectively, more intelligently, more compassionately, more passionately than you can. You're simply the right person for that job. Competence. Very hard to fake competence. You want to make sure that people see you as competent, and in order for people to see you as competent, they either have to observe you in action or they have to be told from someone else that you are indeed competent. But it can't just be anybody. It has to be somebody who really matters. One of the two. So you got to set that up. Second piece of the competence puzzle is the biggest piece. This is probably 40 to 50% of all of the competence puzzle is trustworthiness. What is trustworthiness? Trustworthiness is composed of 5 pieces, and these 5 pieces are all huge. The first thing is likability, but here's the thing. Likability is not necessarily equal, in fact rarely, to trustworthiness. Just because I like somebody doesn't mean I would give them control over $10,000 and say, here, you go ahead and take care of this for a while for me, and when I say I need it back, I'll ask you. No, liking somebody and trusting them are not the same thing. We like to like people, we'd love to like people. You have people in your family and among your friends that you love, that you really care about, but would you let them hold your money? Would you let them invest it? Would you let them hold it in trust for you? Probably not, okay? So likability and trust have nothing to do with each other beyond the opening of the door. With likability, you have the ability to open the door. But here's the thing. You cannot like somebody and they can be trustworthy as well, right? There's lots of people. There's people that come in your house and they fix your furnace and they fix your water, or the plumber. These people, you may not like them at all. They could be really irritating people. But the fact is that we trust them because of their past performance. We've seen them do something. We trust them to do it right and not to take all of our stuff out of the house in the meantime, right? The second most important piece of trustworthiness is competence. That was our number 1 for credibility, right? So competence is part of trustworthiness as well. We're not going to trust somebody with our money, with our love, with the person that you care about most, if you don't know how competent they are at taking care of those kind of things for you. So you only give your child to the babysitter who's going to take care of your child well, right? If the person's not competent, you could love them all you want to, but if they're going to do a lousy job taking care of your kids, you're probably not going to leave the kids there. The next piece is a really unique piece and something that most people don't think about. We find it very difficult to trust, and we should find it very difficult to trust people who are not other-oriented. If people are self-oriented, they're looking out for themselves. Now, this does not necessarily mean this person is an extrovert or an introvert. It means their orientation in life. These are people that we call people pleasers. These are people who try to make other people happy. These are the kinds of people that you probably can trust. If people are out there and they're very focused on the results that they get from the audience or from that person over there, the chances are you can trust that person. And other orientation, my desire to take care of you, is critical as to whether or not you're going to trust me or not. If you see other orientation, if I am very focused on you, I'm very focused on the person over here, I'm very focused on my family, my friends, then you know that this person is somebody who's trustworthy. If you see the opposite, you can gamble that the person is not trustworthy. Next up, the person has to have honesty. You need people to see you as honest. You need people to say, okay, here's the $10,000, and then observe the $10,000 making it to the bank or to the store or wherever the person needs to go to. You have to have the transfer, observe it, and see it happen. Honesty is extremely important. Honesty is what happens when we observe behaviors and those behaviors then match or don't match what we perceive to be honest and integral. This is dependability. If I'm on time, if I'm designed to get in to work at 9 and depart at 5, I should be in work prior to 8:59 and I should be leaving after 5:01. There's no exceptions. 8:59, 5:01. Those are the ways that we know somebody's trustworthy. So if somebody comes in at 9:02 and departs at 4:58, you know that you can't trust them. If you want people to trust you, if you want people to see you as credible, then you must be dependable. And dependability, as in the trustworthiness recipe, is more important than competence. It's more important than the person's likability, their other orientation, and their honesty all combined. Dependability. Are they on time? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Pretty important, pretty surprising. Okay, so competence and trustworthiness. Now, the next piece of the puzzle is the second largest part of the credibility puzzle. It's expertise. Expertise means I have the knowledge base that's going to allow me to solve this problem. I have the capacity. It's there. And I've filled it up with the fuel, the expertise fuel, and you know that when you're watching this video, you're getting pretty much the best you could get for your time on YouTube, right? You just know it's a fact. It's just you're getting the best information available. So that's expertise. Expertise and trustworthiness combined. If you had only two things you could have to make up credibility, they would be trustworthiness and expertise. But there are three other things that can matter to the degree of about 10% each. Expertise and trustworthiness make up about 2/3 of the puzzle. Likability does matter in credibility. If I'm to be perceived as credible, I have a better chance at being perceived as credible if I'm likable. I don't have to be likable for you to perceive me as credible, but it helps me. Then, composure. How do I do under pressure? How are you when the lights are on you and everybody's watching and all that, right? How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you freaking out? Right? So how you are in a tough situation, when the pressure's on, when the heat's on, when the lights are all coming down at you, that's your composure. How composed are you in front of a group, in front of that person, in front of a whole bunch of other people who you've never met before, or people that you know quite well? How composed are you? How put together are you in those situations? That's going to be relevant as to how people perceive your credibility. Finally, sociability. So you want to work on being sociable and valuable to people in social settings. And being valuable in social settings means you help make that person look good. What is that? That's part of other orientation, which is part of trustworthiness, which is the key component of credibility. Okay, so those are the 6 pieces of the credibility pie. Now, let's just say that we're not there. Let's say that we're missing on something. What do we got to do? Okay, there's 7 things that we can do. The first thing that we can do to become credible is to get experience at whatever it is that we need to be credible at. That kind of goes without saying. You've heard of the 10,000 hours thing. It can be 5,000, it can be 20,000, but whatever. You do need time in the experience to get experience. Experience can't be faked. It can't be learned. You can get some information out of books and off a line, but you really need to go ahead and get under the lights, get under the pressure in order to be good in certain situations. You're going to have to get experience. Second thing is, are you informed? Do you know what's going on? Do you have a clue? If you're going to be credible, you've got to know what the reality of 2013 or 2014 is. If you don't, if you're working off of information that was used in 1990, 1980, you don't have any value right now. You have to be perceived as being informed, and the only way to really be perceived as being informed is to get informed. Third thing you can do is to get trained. If you are a rookie in some area, or your skills are 20 years old or 15 years old or even 10 years old, look, information's doubling every 18 months right now in the world. We know twice as much as we did 18 months ago. We know 4 times as much as we did 3 years ago. That's an enormous growth rate. And so people who graduated from college or high school or wherever 20 years ago, today, that education it's not worthless. It's really close though. It's really close. Get trained. Get trained by somebody who's really good at whatever it is that you do. Next up, get qualified. There's a difference between being qualified and being trained. Qualification usually indicates that some training or expertise has now been proven to somebody else. Okay, so this person has put their stamp of authority on you. They've sort of certified you as being qualified and competent to be the next XYZ for this company or for this person over here in a relationship. Next up is to get skilled. The only way you gain skill, there's only one thing you can do to gain skill, and that's to repeat processes over and over and over. If you repeat processes, you become skilled. You're able to do things by rote, which means now you have competence in this specific area, which is going to enhance your credibility. Next up is you have to be intelligent. Sorry about it. It's just the reality. Intelligent people are perceived as credible. If you're not perceived as intelligent, it's time to start it now. The way you do that is to start learning stuff now that's going to be valuable to the people that you're talking to. Finally, people, if you really want credibility, you need to be seen as the expert. What's your job? What are your credentials for that job? What is the project you're working on? What are your credentials for this? What is your skill level? Are you an A, a B, a C, a D, or an E? And the thing is if you're an A, great. You want to keep that A. And if you're E, D, C, B, you need to be an A, or else you're never going to move on and be able to be perceived as credible. All right, guys. So once again, there's 6 parts of credibility. That's competence, trustworthiness, expertise, likability, composure, and sociability. And there's 7 ways that you can build your credibility, which is to get experience, to become informed, to get trained by somebody who's amazing or some group that's amazing, to become qualified, to be skilled, intelligent, and to be perceived and a real life expert. Okay, guys, I'll see you next time.